In front of me, I have this box of black and white prints from 1992. In this edition of Jules Voto's Photo Focus, we're going to open up this box and see what's inside. Now, back then, I was working for a weekly newspaper, and I shot almost all black and white negative film. I developed the film at home, made prints, and then delivered them to the newspaper. So a lot of these prints are probably from the work I did for the paper. Some may be from some other jobs that I had at the time. And a lot of these are reject prints. I would make a print, look at it, and I got a dodge here, I got a burn in here, I should crop it a little differently. So let's go through this box and let's see what we got. Oh, and a lot of them I printed the full negative. So this looks like a choir. I don't remember. This could have been for one of the hospitals. I did work for a couple Catholic hospitals. It could be from that. Oh, this one I remember. This gentleman, they said he was dead. In fact, he's holding a death notice, a death certificate, I'm sorry. And I remember this, but I don't remember the details. God, I haven't looked through this box in years. This is, the police opened up a mini station on South Street in Philadelphia, and this was a picture of that. This is just a random headshot of a nurse. God, this is a picture of a bunch of locks. Probably there was a new hardware store that opened in South Philadelphia. It was probably for that. This is just a little girl with Santa. Don't remember what this is. It looks like a mechanic in front of a car. So far, nothing too interesting. Oh, this I think was a new store that opened on Passyunk Avenue in South Philly. All right, this I remember. You'll notice that this gentleman here and that bird, this was a gentleman who wrote a story on Edgar Allan Poe. So that's the Raven. And Edgar Allan Poe lived in a house in Philadelphia for a time. I believe, if I remember correctly, it was on, oh my God, I don't remember the street now. But it was just north of Center City in Philadelphia. This looks like a high school football game, South Philadelphia High, which we covered. And this was under the 25th Street Bridge. I remember this. That bridge had all kinds of problems. It was very old, and concrete would be falling off of it, and they were doing some type of repair. This is just a wedding picture. These are, some of this, if they're little kids, we're not going to look at them. This was a community meeting. Again, I'm sorry, there's nothing that interesting here so far. This was a sad story here. This lady was looking at what was left of her house. There was a fire, and this is a lot of the stuff from inside her house. And we're going to go through this. This is another shot from one of the high schools in South Philadelphia. I hope you find this interesting, because so far I don't. There's another shot of the mechanic. This, I'm not going to show you this. This is a sad story. It was a little boy who had a serious illness. He was waiting, I think it was for a transplant. And unfortunately, after a day or two after this photograph was taken, he passed away. Very sad story. He was an only child. This is the pastor of St. Paul's Church. I forget what this was about. This was inside the church. I don't know what that is. Here's another shot in the same church. This woman, I think, was doing writing a book about the parish, if I remember right. Here's another shot of Bach. This was Bach High School in South Philadelphia. And here, this was in front of St. Maria Goretti High School. A lot of the students, they were talking of closing the high school. And actually, they never did, but they were just out there protesting. And these are nothing here. This is just some, I forget what this was for. These are just some model cars in a store. You know, a lot of times you get to do some really interesting things when you work for a newspaper. And other times it's kind of stuff like this. It's just, you know, it's not that much fun. But the good thing is you get to do all types of photography. You'll do portraits, you'll cover events, you'll do stuff like this, sporting events, politicians. And this here, you know, the Mummers Parade in South Philadelphia is a huge thing. I believe this was either one of the captains or somebody who made, this looks like they're making costumes here. So this was probably somebody who was making costumes for the Mummers. It's a full-time activity. It's a way of life in South Philadelphia for some of these Mummers clubs. And here we have another shot, Save Our School, St. Maria Goretti. That's a statue of St. Maria Goretti in front of the school. So the school never did close, but eventually it combined with the boys' Catholic high school, the school I went to, Bishop Newman, which then became St. John Newman. And now it's called Newman Goretti, and they're using the St. Maria Goretti building on 10th Street. All right. I have no idea. Oh, I do think I remember what this is. This is a group of Marines, ex-Marines mostly, and this was, they have a celebration every year on November 11th, which is the anniversary of the founding of the Marine Corps. And on Oregon Avenue in South Philly at a bar, they have a big celebration because the owner was a Marine. He has since passed away, but they have continued the tradition. This is a shot under 95 in South Philadelphia on Highway 95. I don't know. These are just some headshots. I don't think you're interested in these. All right. Actually, there's a few color proofs from weddings that are rejects. We'll just get rid of them. All right, this was of an arrest. We would do ride-alongs with the Philadelphia police sometimes, and this was an arrest, I think possibly in the 17th District, which is on the west side of Broad Street in Philadelphia. Here's just some smaller prints. I also did work for a bank, some hospitals, and there would be, they would want 5x7 black and white prints for press releases. That's what these are for. And I don't know, there's a lot of little kids in these, so I don't want to show these, although these pictures are, what now, 30 years old. This was at one of the hospitals looking down. They had a little community festival. This was taken from the roof, I guess, looking down on the festival. There's a few more 5x5s. Weddings. There's just a picture of a wedding invitation. These are reject prints I shot with a Hasselblad for weddings, and would have 5x5 proofs made, and of course you're going to throw some away. This was a young lady who was a ballerina, and we went to her training. This, I don't know, this picture is from 1952. I have no idea of a small plane. I don't know where I got that. This is a magician, Jimmy from South Philadelphia, and I did some pictures for a story we did in the newspaper, and then eventually I did some PR pictures for him. Here's another shot of the gentleman making, in the building, putting together the costumes for the parade. This was a Philadelphia police officer in front of Independence Hall. We were doing a story on him, so we took a car and we drove around to a few spots, got out of the car, and I took some pictures of him. I'm not sure what this is. This is just real quick. This was just some kids from a school. Not sure what that was for. You know, your memory, you don't remember all this stuff. There was, you just shot so many different things. And I probably should have, on the back of these pictures, you know, just wrote a little something. Only thing I did was I kept them in fairly good chronological order. At least, there's 6 months worth of pictures here. I may have another box with some 1992 pictures. And this looks like something in Center City, Philadelphia, because in the background you probably can't see that. There is is City Hall. And this may have been for the Columbus Day Parade or something, but it's a group of motorcyclists. And God, I forget, this was for something, a story on Halloween, I think. So I hope you're not being bored to death by this. I guess this, for me, it's just, bringing back some remembrances. And here's another shot of him. I don't know why there's two. Sometimes what I would do, I would make a test print, look at it, like I said, decide dodging and burning in. Other times it's a shot I like, so I'd make an extra copy. And here's a close-up of that guy. Now, back then, I was shooting probably in 92. I know I was shooting Nikon, but I also was shooting, that was around the time I started shooting Canon, because I was doing photography for the Philadelphia Eagles in the fall of 92. So I was shooting a Nikon F4 prior to that. So probably a lot of these pictures were with the Nikon F4. And then probably by late October, I went to Canon because I thought it was much better for football. I would rent a 300 millimeter 2.8. And the reason I did that is I was renting the 300 2.8 for the Nikon F4, and a gentleman at one of the games let me try out his Canon, his EOS 1. And it was superior to the Nikon for action photography, so I went with the Canon. Here's some more kids. This looks like a teacher in the school. Again, I don't remember what the story was. I'm sorry that there's nothing really interesting here. No award-winning pictures. Here's another shot of the police officers putting that young man into the police van. All right, I'll try to go through this a little quicker. Here's another shot of that choir we saw early on. All right, this was a local musical group. We did a story on them. We used to do something called Lifestyles. And Lifestyles was just that. It was a lifestyle story on some local people, actors, athletes, musicians, artists, whatever. And this was one of the musical groups. Not sure where that was taken. And here's another shot from that school closing, or the anticipated school closing, the protest, and that's the principal in the center there. And this was a shot of a local artist, a airbrush artist. She was brilliant, and she had a shop in South Philly, and here's just some of her work. Humphrey Bogart, and looks like the singer from Guns N' Roses, Marilyn Monroe. Really a great artist. And this looks like Delaware Avenue in South Philadelphia. There's train tracks that run there. Don't remember what the story was for. All right, if you're not falling asleep yet, maybe we got something good coming up. I don't know. This looks like some kids playing the game Trouble. Looks like I got above them. This might be my kids. I'm not sure. Sometimes if we needed a photo to illustrate something, I needed some kids, I would use my own kids. Here's another shot of that musical group. And here they were going to eliminate a crossing guard, and these people were protesting. It was due to some budget cuts. Oh my God, this looks like the Wildwood Boardwalk. And why I have a shot at it, I don't know. This may have been for the paper, but it also could have been just on a vacation. If I'm not showing you the picture, it's either something that you probably wouldn't be interested in, or it's some kids. So here we have some seagulls. And I'm sure that wasn't for the paper. Now, this was an old factory that a lot of homeless had started gathering in, and we did a story on that, and it was a real mess. Eventually, they tore it down, and I'm surprised they haven't put houses up, but I believe it is still just a vacant lot. At one time, they made shoulder pads, not shoulder pads, elbow pads and knee pads and headbands and things like that, some athletic type things. And it was in a real state of, it was horrible. It was graffiti. You can see. All right, this is a bank vault. We're not going to show that. And this was in Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. I forget why there was a shot of this young man there. But now on something like this, I probably used a 24 millimeter lens. I would use a 24 to show a wide area to in what we call a environmental portrait. Okay, a 24 is not a portrait lens, but for environmental stuff like this, it works out good, even a 28 or a 35. And this is a nighttime shot of the famous Pat Steaks in South Philly. Again, not sure what that was about. And here's a shot of from above looking towards Center City, Philadelphia. Probably this was taken from that abandoned factory, and there's a train on the bridge. All right, here's workers on that bridge I told you about, that 25th Street bridge, and they're removing some loose concrete. Eventually what they did, they kind of screened it in. To tear down that bridge would be a huge undertaking, so it's still up, but they put this metal screening around it so no more concrete falls off, because it did damage some cars. Here is the Carrier Forrestal when it was coming into Philadelphia to have a service life, for the Service Life Extension Program, which they performed at the Philadelphia Navy Yard. The Philadelphia Navy Yard now has been closed for years. The last ship to come in there was the USS Kennedy. In fact, the Kennedy just left. It went into service, back into service for a while. Eventually, it was decommissioned and came into Philadelphia. And unfortunately, I missed getting pictures of it, but a couple weeks ago, in January of 2025, it was towed out of Philadelphia to go to be scrapped down south somewhere. Okay. I don't remember what this was. I think this was something with the Philadelphia Eagles. It says Pro Set, NFL Pro Set. And I'm not sure. In the background, you could see Veterans Stadium. And here's a police officer inside one of the high-rise housing projects in Philadelphia. We did a story on that. What a sad, sad story that was. And this print is too light, but this is probably a player from South Philadelphia High School about to catch a ball. This was the shots I always wanted to get. It wasn't the easiest to get. You really had to have good timing, anticipate where the ball was going. And so you would maybe cover one of the receivers. This was a building on Moore Street. I believe it was 16th and Moore, that had been an old school, was empty for years. And eventually they tore it down, and now it's houses. All right, we're getting near the end. I'm sorry that there's nothing really interesting here. This looks like another shot of that abandoned factory. This, I believe, was an Italian ship that came into Philadelphia on Penn's Landing, and we were given a tour of it. It was a sailboat of some type. And this, unfortunately, was a gentleman who was shot on Snyder Avenue in Philadelphia, and this picture was used in the Philadelphia Inquirer. I had a Nikon F with a 50 millimeter lens, and I was able to get, well, actually, this was cropped heavily. All right. Here was a new police captain in Philadelphia. We always did a story on the new captains when they came in. And this was another shooting. Somebody was shot in this car. It looks like it was a Trans Am. Okay. Here's more of that bridge, the underside of the bridge. So again, I apologize. There's nothing much too interesting here. Here was a youth baseball game at Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia. So you could see the variety of things, you know, we got to shoot. Here's back to that shot of the person who was killed in the automobile. And this looks like the police crime lab on the scene. Oh, okay, here's something a little interesting. This is during the 1992 campaign. Bill Clinton was in Philadelphia, and here he is with the mayor of Philadelphia at the time, Edward Rendell. And I don't know, they're showing a map of, I don't know what that is. All right, so just a few more here, it looks like. And here is they were repairing some overhead wires using a helicopter, and that was pretty interesting. I believe that was on Snyder Avenue near that 25th Street Bridge in South Philadelphia. Actually, it might be right next to it. And here's another shot of the Forrestal as it was coming in. I didn't get to go on the Forrestal, but we did get to go on the Kennedy. We were taken out to the Kennedy by helicopter, landed on the deck, and we're given a full tour of the ship. It was a great day. And this here, they had changed the name of Delaware Avenue to Columbus Boulevard. Some people were upset at that, so they kind of spray painted out Columbus Boulevard, and they put a sticker up with Delaware Avenue. So I'm sorry if this wasn't too interesting. I really didn't remember much of what was in there. I knew there may have been shots of the campaign, because we did cover the presidential campaign as well as the local campaigns. But it was really interesting working for a newspaper. Like I said, you got to shoot a lot of different things. It was great experience. And through the newspaper, I got jobs with some hospitals and a bank and some other organizations. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions on this or comments, please leave them in the comments below. I always try to respond to all comments. And I usually publish a new video every Monday morning and Wednesday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. So I will talk to you then.